when 68-year-old Dorothy Green accidentally knocked over the community birdbath at Maple Hill Retirement Village. No one expected it would start a full-blown undercover mission. It was an accident, Dorothy insisted at the residence's meeting. I just leaned on it a little, okay. A lot, and it tipped. Leaning isn't the issue, replied Beverly Simmons, self-appointed president of the Maple Hill Garden Club and former high school principal. The issue is that it was the official flamingo fountain, donated by Mrs. Gertie Applebaum, who played bridge with Eleanor Roosevelt's cousin. Oh, please, muttered Dorothy. She once met a woman who saw Eleanor Roosevelt on a stamp. Still, the damage was done. The flamingo-shaped fountain now lay in pieces, its majestic pink neck tragically decapitated. A vote was taken. Punishment was handed down. Dorothy was banned from garden privileges for 6 weeks. This, to her, was worse than prison. Blank. Dorothy Green wasn't your average retiree. Sure, she wore orthopedic sandals and had a standing appointment to complain about her hip every Tuesday at 3 p.m. But she also had a rebellious streak. In the 70s, she once got kicked out of a knitting circle for restructuring patterns creatively. She wore leopard print scarves and kept a secret stash of peanut M&Ms in a hollowed-out Reader's Digest. And now she had a mission: to sneak back into the garden and replace the flamingo fountain before the garden club's annual spring inspection. It would take stealth. It would take strategy. It would take backup. Dorothy recruited her 2 closest friends. Mildred, Millie Zhao, age 70, who used her walker like a battering ram and played Mahjong like it was a contact sport. Raymond, Ray Deluca, 73, a retired postal worker with arthritis in both knees, who once built a drone to find out which neighbor was stealing his newspapers. It was Beverly Simmons. They met in Dorothy's apartment under the cover of late-night Jeopardy reruns. I call it, she whispered, opening a manila folder. Operation Flamingo. Millie leaned in. Is this a blueprint of the garden? Close, Dorothy said. It's a takeout menu, but I drew the paths on the back. Ray squinted. And this is the gazebo? No, that's the moo shoe pork. The plan was simple. 1. Sneak into the garden at night. 2. Remove the broken fountain. 3. Replace it with a new flamingo statue Dorothy found on Craigslist. 4. Re-glue the plaque. 5. Blame everything on raccoons if anyone asked. The Craigslist flamingo was majestic, plastic, glowing, and possibly solar-powered. They named it Flambo. The first attempt didn't go smoothly. Ray forgot his flashlight, so Millie used the LED light from her electric nail file to guide the way. They reached the garden just as the motion sensor lights kicked on, nearly blinding everyone. Retreat, shouted Dorothy, tripping over a hose. They ran, shuffled, back to the building, collapsing in the lounge behind a ficus plant. I haven't moved that fast since disco was cool. Ray wheezed. We need disguises, Millie declared, like spies, or those people who dress like shrubs in the park. Millie, we're 70, Dorothy said, we can barely dress like humans. Phase 2 involved camouflage. Dorothy dressed in all green and added a feather boa, for blending with the wildlife. She explained. Millie wore her gardening hat and a fake mustache for no particular reason. Ray brought binoculars, snacks, and a walkie-talkie set that only worked when you yelled. Ready? Ray's voice squawked through Dorothy's pocket. Over. You don't need to say, over, if we're standing 3 feet away. She hissed. Copy that. Over. This time, they made it to the garden undetected. The broken fountain was heavier than expected. Flambo, on the other hand, was light and glowed pink like a Vegas lounge act. They swapped the statues, glued the plaque, misspelled, in memory of Gertie Applebaum, bird lover and fierce bingo warrior, and slipped back into the building undetected. Or so they thought. The next morning, Beverly Simmons stood in front of the garden fountain, speechless. Is that, she squinted, glowing? It's solar-powered, Dorothy said, appearing with a coffee and the innocent smile of someone who absolutely committed a felony last night. Beverly blinked. That is not the original fountain. Oh, it isn't? Dorothy sipped. I suppose it must be the work of raccoons. Millie nodded gravely. Very creative animals, gifted with adhesives. Ray added. You should see their Etsy shop. Beverly huffed and marched off to file a complaint with the homeowners committee. The committee, however, adored Flambo. They loved his modern take on flamingo grief, and how he glowed at night, like the flaming spirit of Gertie herself. The maintenance man added a little birdbath bowl at the bottom, and someone placed a wind chime nearby. Within days, Flambo became the unofficial mascot of Maple Hill. Dorothy, of course, was smug, blank, underscore, blank. But trouble was brewing. At the next community meeting, Beverly returned, with photos. This, she announced, holding up a blurry picture, is security camera footage from the night of the raccoon incident. Dorothy squinted. Are those elbows? Ray sighed. My elbows. I moisturize. Beverly smirked. Caught red-handed. I demand a second ban from garden privileges. Gasps filled the room. But before the vote could be taken, a voice rang out. I second the motion, not to ban Dorothy, said Mr. Henderson from Unit 3B. Standing up slowly, that flamingo made my wife smile. And she hasn't smiled since the tapioca shortage of 2019. More voices chimed in. She added wind chimes. My cat plays with its reflection. I proposed to my wife next to Flambo. The tide had turned. Dorothy stood, a little stunned. Thank you, she said, voice wobbling. Honestly, I just didn't want to be remembered as the birdbath killer. We'll remember you as the Flamingo Renegade, someone shouted. And so, a legend was born. Blank, underscore, blank. 1 month later, Maple Hill held its annual Spring Garden Day. Dorothy was reinstated in the garden club, as vice president. Beverly became senior advisor. A title Dorothy claimed was made up on the spot to keep her from staging a coup. Flambo stood tall and glowing, with a new custom plaque that read, in memory of Gertie Applebaum, bird lover, bingo legend, and forever fabulous, reimagined with love by the people of Maple Hill. Ray gave a speech. Millie brought pink cupcakes. A band played a gentle version of Stayin' Alive on the accordion. As the sun set and Flambo lit up in his soft pink glow, Dorothy leaned back on a bench and smiled. Well, she said to her friends, we pulled it off. Ray raised a juice box. To raccoons. Millie adjusted her fake mustache. To rebellion. Dorothy lifted her chin proudly. To Operation Flamingo. Blank, underscore, blank. Meaning of the story? You're never too old to stir up a little mischief. Fix your mistakes. Or bring a plastic flamingo back to life, especially with a few good friends and a questionable mustache.